put your ball in the trees and then you lip out the putt. But if you've got a little time, then come and spend it with us, 'cause now you're listening to The Rough Cut.
Hello, and welcome down to another episode of the Rough Cut Golf Podcast, where we welcome you down on the most momentous of weeks, because it is officially the start of the golfing season as the first major of the men's season rolls around at Augusta in Georgia. It is, of course, the Masters. We are going to be previewing one of the most wonderful times of the year, the event, who's going to be winning, and much more in between. I just want to say thank you for joining me, and thank you to Jacob, who is sat to my right-hand side. We've binned everyone else off this week.
Yeah, it's just me and you today.
No one else deserves to be part of this preview.
No, we feel the most passionately about the event.
I think so. Kieran and Mick actually hate the Masters.
I've heard.
Which is, I think, quite a weird position to take.
Yeah.
But listen, this is the hill that they've decided to stand on. So
here we are. They're boycotting the podcast.
Both of them actually like the USPJ. They think it's the best major. It's quite an odd one.
Do you know what? There's probably people out there that do think that, though.
Who?
Well,
who? Like, if you're watching this on YouTube, please get down to those comments below. If you're listening on your favorite podcast provider, and if you aren't, which would not make sense, because then you'd be not listening to this. I think what I'm trying to say is, if you're watching this on YouTube, comment below. If you're listening and you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you do. Or if you want to listen to the audio version, we are on your favorite podcast provider. But comment below. What's your favorite major? For me, I think it would go the Open, the Masters, the US Open, the USPJ.
Yeah, I think I agree.
I mean, you could interchange those top two.
Yes. Yeah.
But I don't think...
You think those are the top two?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, the US Open does have its merits because
I love
it's very hard and you kind of know what you're getting each year. That's one of the majors that has, again, a bit of an identity. The USPJ just doesn't really have that, which I think's always been its weakness.
Yeah.
You've got the Masters, which is the start of the year.
Absolutely.
It's held at the same course every year, even though it does change, and we'll get into that a little bit. But you know what you're getting. You're getting the history, you're getting that feel of what it's like.
Yeah.
The US Open, hardest test in golf, then the Opens at a links course, obviously outside the US, and then the USPGA just kind of makes it up.
Yeah, I think the thing that the Masters has over all of them that helps it a little bit more is because it is that first major. And it is that like excitement, anticipation, and to some people, sort of the circle on the calendar of the golf season actually starts this week. I
think for a lot of the kind of Western world, in many respects, it does, because it's coming into April, it's coming into spring. People are finally out to play golf again. We are going to Arizona tomorrow.
We are.
Now, people in Arizona will be like, as soon as it gets to spring, that's when they're going to stop playing.
Yep.
As it moves into summer when it gets too hot. But for most of us, all year round, this is the beginning. Now,
this is it.
Not only does this mean that the Masters is kicking off the season, it also means that the Masters app is back. Now, I would, there's no free ads on the Rough Cut Golf podcast. We are very stringent about that. Apart from Mela, which is one of the fantastic drinks that we tried last time in the States, I'd still need to give them a contact back. And the Masters app. If you've not downloaded the Masters app to your smartphone device, then just do it. Yeah. Once a year, you will be treated to the best app in sports. It's brilliant.
It's so good.
News, it's got highlights, it's got player tracking. Just, if you've not downloaded it already, just do. That's all I've got to say about that subject. Do you have anything to add about
honestly, I don't really think you need to add any more. I just think that, to the point, it is. You could put in an argument to say that it's probably one of, if not a top 5 app that you can get on your phone.
Well, I mean, compared to the rest of the crap that's normally on there,
sure.
Then yeah.
I mean, obviously, Doodle Jump sits the highest, but were you a Doodle Jump guy?
I am, apart from the early days when it was Clash of Clans. Remember that?
Yep.
I think that might be the only game I've ever downloaded to my phone.
You say that like I'm pretty sure that's still quite popular.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's the only one.
See, I did play that for about a week, and then I got fed up when it took my town hall to spend 7 days to upgrade, and I'm not waiting for that. I want instantaneous, and that's what the Masters app, it gives you instantaneous tracking.
And guess what? You don't have to pay for it.
No, you don't. That's the best thing, yeah.
That's what annoys me about all phone games. Because I like games. I really, really enjoy. I've always been into computer games. I'm not allowed anymore. Like, Carly's banned me.
Right.
Because I won't be able to do it in work.
Yeah.
But any game that you download to, it's so frustrating the fact that it's free to download mostly, but it's not free because you've got to pay instantly.
They get you. Yep.
Anyway, topic for another day. The Masters app is free. Right, so the Masters preview. Let's jump into this. So I think we'll start all just with a few kind of key headlines. So we've got Scotty Scheffler coming in, world number one. He's defending his title. If he wins, it'll be his third green jacket in 4 years, and that is only an accomplishment which has been achieved by one other golfer, and that his name is Mr. Jack Nicklaus, who is a decent player.
Yeah, sure. It was either him or Tiger.
He's got a big future in the game.
I think so.
I mean, if you accomplish what Tiger's accomplished at the Masters as well, you'd be pretty
Doing all right,
happy as well. This is, of course, the year rolls around again for Rory McIlroy in pursuit of the Grand Slam. Now, if you're not familiar with the Grand Slam, golf has 4 majors. Now, Rory has won the USPGA, the Open, and the US Open. This is the one major event that he has not won. And now if he wins it, he will hold all 4 titles and he will join an illustrious group of players to have won the Grand Slam.
Yep.
It's I would say the pinnacle of pretty much every single major professional golfer's career. If you manage to do the Grand Slam, you are a legend within the game.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no doubt about that. The other kind of talking point here is Liv have kind of got quite a few of their golfers participating this year, and it's going to be an interesting dynamic to see how they get involved and also if one of them is going to be the favourite. So, first of all, Scotty Scheffler, yes, no?
Yes, no. I mean, if you want a yes, no answer, I'm going no. I just... The ability for, and you've seen it over the years now, for someone to come back to Augusta and defend is just something that doesn't happen. It's so hard to do. I mean, even Scotty proved it. He decided he had to take a year off before winning his second one. But obviously you can't underestimate and you can't rule him out. There's nothing to say that he can't do it. But just going off the historical backing of that golf course and this event, going and winning back-to-back is troublesome. And we've seen recently he's kind of gone back to those putting woes again. He's struggling a little bit on the greens. He's not coming in as hot as he was the last previous times that he's, winning how many times he was before he got here. Fair. It's a tricky one to see him actually. For me, out of all the years he's won it, this is the year that I'm a little bit cold on him. And I feel horrible saying it, but it's kind of true. And
you would say that if there was... Do you remember when Scott Scheffler came into the Masters when he won at Bay Hill? He'd won the Players.
He'd won everything, yeah.
He was coming in hot. Just imagine if Rory McIlroy
could maybe have done that?
Won the Players.
Yeah.
And was coming in hot.
Yeah.
Just imagine what that would be
but
like.
But not just the Players, like if he'd won Pebble as well, and that would have been good.
Just imagine what a good frame of mind that he would be in.
You'd have to say his favourite, no?
I mean, you would have to say so. You would think so.
Yeah.
Maybe except in his own mind.
Yeah. Just do it. It's so hard to talk about this.
I am not gonna get involved emotionally with it. I'm just gonna be steadfast in thinking that he's not going to win. And even when he gets 4 clear with 7 holes to go, you know what? I'm still not going to get invested. Until he dons that green jacket, I'm just not going to care.
Yeah. I don't know, well, not only myself, but how the golfing world would just react if he did it. It's such a... As a narrative, this is probably the one unanswered question that's like the most anticipated in golf right now is Rory, can he complete the Grand Slam? You've obviously got 2 other guys, Phil and Jordan, who are vying for it, but you would probably say that Rory has the best chance out of the 4 currently in regards to that.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, Phil's not going to win the US Open.
No.
Now. That chance is gone. Because if he did, that would be one of the most incredible stories in golf. But realistically, that's not going to happen. Spieth, we're still waiting for him to kind of get back to where he was. If that will ever happen, I don't know. But there's always a chance. Mm-hmm. Like the USPGA's, again, as we mentioned, like a pointless major. Mm-hmm. But with the Masters, there is so few times when you look at a player, you look at a course, and you just say, they belong together. Like, Rory should have won 5 green jackets at this point. Mm-hmm. And it's only because of the scar tissue that he picked up at that if you're not familiar, Rory had a fantastic chance to win at Augusta very early in his career. He then went on to win the US Open. I think was it the US Open, the event after?
Yeah,
in that year.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it was, wasn't it? When it was at Valhalla, and he dominated that event, and he was so in control at Augusta, and then he snap hooked it off 10, and it all went downhill. Augusta got him. Like, he got amen cornered.
He did.
Like, he sent up prayers and no one answered. And from that point, it just seems that he has something in his mind. He has so much pressure building up to this week that he never seems to rise fully to the occasion. And every time I've watched him since that point, apart from a few different examples, I've got to be honest, he's never seemed to completely enjoy it. You can almost see that pressure is pushing down on him. The one thing I would say, and the one thing which I think is in his corner, is, like you said, how much other people want him to win.
Yeah.
When I was at the Masters,
Clang.
in 2018 when Patrick Reed won,
Yeah.
I couldn't believe like how much support he had, even against Patrick Reed, who at the time I presume was like everyone's favorite in America because of the Ryder Cup stuff. Apparently not, but Rory's support there is unbelievable. Like, they will be cheering him on, they will be trying to push him over the line.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It's it's so hard to talk about this because you can't not sound like a beaten drum of just saying the same thing over and over again, because it's the same thing that we say every single year, as does the whole golfing mediascape. Like, that, it's not an unknown thing that people want Rory McIlroy to win the Masters, and this is what he needs to get the career Grand Slam. So that emphasis on that and pushing him over the line, and as you say, like, where that puts him in the upper echelon of golfers that have ever existed.
Yeah.
It just sort of glorifies him and puts him into an unwaverable amount of quality that you can't get if you haven't had the career Grand Slam.
But this year I would say that this year he's probably got a better chance than ever, because a lot of the people at the top of the game who you would say, right, based on what they've done last year, based on kind of historic appearances at the Masters and in majors and the champions that are there, you've got Scotty Scheffler, just come back from an injury, definitely not at his best with putting. You got John Rahm, who's been playing okay on LIV, like he's obviously won over the past 12 months, but again, he's not coming into this on absolute fire. Yeah. You've got Ludwig Aberg is probably the one, maybe, which again would be a great story. But even like Xander Schauffele, like untouchable last year, coming back off an injury, not going to be up there competing. You would think, but he has a good record at Augusta. So there's so many players who would have challenged him maybe 4 or 5 months ago who are not in the best of form.
Sure.
Whereas you've got Rory, who is in the best form.
Yeah.
He's winning, and he's winning well. He's swinging it great. He's got his wedges under control. Oh, I'm starting.
It doesn't take a lot.
I'm starting.
It doesn't take a lot. No, I agree. It's that top tier of players, although unbelievable golfers. You're right. There's something you can say about each one of them that can withhold them from winning. Yeah. Scotty, over the last few years, you've just not seen any reason, apart from putting every now and then, why he wouldn't win. Same with John Rahm when he's coming in. He hasn't had as good a start on LIV as he had the previous year. Ludwig's a weird one because obviously he won at Riviera. He didn't win at Riviera. He won the Genesis, which was meant to be at Riviera, which I always love to have a look and see who does well there, because I always feel that Riv and Augusta line up really nicely. But obviously you can't take anything from it this year.
Not this year.
But then I don't feel like he didn't play great at the Texas Open. He's not again coming in with like super hot form. He obviously had an amazing finish last year, had that unfortunate on 11. He'd love to have that shot back again. I think when you go down that list, I think maybe Morikawa's kind of the first name you see and you go, you know what, he's playing well. He's leading the PGA Tour strokes tee to green, which obviously as a metric is perfect for Augusta. You've got to hit your fairways, and also your approach play's got to be bang on. He's very streaky with the putter, but we've seen if he gets hot with it, then he can stay hot and he can challenge, and he's been challenging for majors for the last year. So he's definitely an interesting one for sure. But yeah, Rory. Please, just put us out of us. We all stop talking about it when you start doing it.
I'll just give a quick rundown of the odds. So Scotty's favourite, Rory is second. Then you got Rahm, Ober, Morikawa, DeChambeau is up there. I've got to be honest. There's something about DeChambeau and Augusta that I don't quite like. Even though on paper he should dominate around there, there's just something there that I just don't quite doesn't quite fit for me. Xander, Justin Thomas, Joaquin Niemann, Matsuyama, Victor Hovland. It's kind of a surprise team up there. I know he has had the win this year, but that was kind of like a little bit of a flash in the pan. You feel like Brooks Koepka, Jordan Spieth, who's never out of it at Augusta. Apparently. Patrick Cantley, Tommy Fleetwood, guaranteed top 10. Shane Lowry and Zalatoris, and it kind of keeps going down. There is quite an even spread this year between live golfers as well. Like you would expect it at this point. Obviously, they've invested heavily in getting the very best players over to that tour. But you got Rahm up there. Obviously, DeChambeau was spoken about. Neiman is always fancied around Augusta as well. You always pick Neiman.
I do like Neiman, Again, blends in nicely to what I was saying before. He was a winner at Riv. Think that fits nicely. He hits the ball miles, which, you say he's sneaky long, but everyone knows he's long. But you just look at him and you don't think he hits it super far. The thing with him is that obviously he's for 2 years running now. He's come in off the back of winning a couple of live events. And you always have to, unfortunately, whether you're a live enthusiast or not, you do have to take those wins with a little bit of a pinch of salt, given the quality of the field, how big the fields are. So it's tricky because if, say, he could be playing some of the best golf in the world, and obviously Phil Mickelson came out a couple of weeks ago and said that he believes that he's the best player in the world right now. But you also, I don't think you have to be playing at the absolute tippity top of your game to win on live at its current form with the players that are there at the moment. So I'm always a little bit tempered by that, though, he has to have played good golf to win these events, and I think that will definitely translate well. Like I say, he hits the ball far. He's an excellent. He's around the greens, so I like the look of him. I think in terms of a live player, he's my favourite of who's coming over. But I also, as you know, I love to go into a little bit more detail and work these things out. So before I get into mine, though, I'll ask you: who do you think will win the Masters 2025?
Rory.
Oh no, he did it.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go there.
He did it.
I'm gonna go there, and I'm gonna preface this with obviously a huge. It's the Masters. It's Rory. On paper, should do it. Has to do it. You would feel at some point in his career, but there's no guarantee. But at some point, you feel that the dam has to break. At some point, something has to fall into place within his own mind that says, you know what, I can do this. And this has to be the best chance he's had in so long. He's playing so well. He's not going into this major either with his usual barrage of weird things that he's doing. Before every single Masters, he always comes up with something. Oh, I've changed my putter. I'm on a new diet. I'm only drinking wine on a Tuesday night. There's always something that he's trying to adapt. Whilst this year, he's had an alteration in his swing at the start of the year. It's looking good. He's swinging great. This has to be it. I don't want to get emotionally invested, but I know I will.
You can't help it.
I know. That's the problem. Every time he pulls me in. If he's a fisherman,
just don't fight
he
it.
knows the bait to lure me in.
But what is the bait? It's just that he's Rory McIlroy.
It's just Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
I'm just a dumb fat fish in the river right now, and I'm just waiting for him to cast. Because I know as soon as that lure goes in, I'm biting. Every time.
When he birdies the first. And it's
all over. I think on that, though, probably outside. I would go outside, and I think he would get a decent odds, actually. I think Sergio.
Okay. I think he's about 100 to 1.
So Sergio's he's having a good year on live. He's obviously a past champion there. The way he's swinging and the way he's hitting it, he's kind of like bit prime Sergio at the moment. And he's got a game and he's got a swing which it's always been powerful, but it's not a game which is built on power. Obviously, he's had his putting problems, but apart from that, his ball striking is unreal. So, yeah, for an outsider, I would go for Sergio, I think, from the left side.
Yeah, I like that.
But before we discuss any further, we, of course, need what everybody wants to hear as the majors roll around. It is Stats with Jacob. It is Jacob's
Come
picks.
on.
To put you in the picture, at the Open at Royal Liverpool, we had Stats with Jacob before that event, and he picked Brian Harman out of the hat. I used that pick and I wrote it to make myself look incredibly smart on all the broadcasts that went out live across the world. I had people coming up to me in the crowd, people stopping me on the range and asking me how on earth I managed to pick Brian Harman as the winner. Well, it was because of this man next to me. We're going to We're going to skip quickly over the fact that after that point, we've not got a single winner.
It's gone cold.
It's not been the best.
It's gone cold.
However, I feel that this year you are again going to give us some gold. So hit us with it, Jacob.
Well, again, as Pete's mentioned, what I'd love to do every major is run through on a statistical basis who I think might win at the major that we're talking about. So obviously we're on about the Masters here. So I would say, without even looking at, so when you see the data and you look at the kind of trends of what it means to be a Masters winner, I think this is probably the easiest event that you could pick from. And the reason being, to start with, is that the last 12 winners have all come from in the top 25. Now, I say in the top 25 and not top 25 in the world because I'm using data golf.
Okay.
I think everyone now has sort of decided that's the way to go when it comes to rankings of players. Obviously, the reason being is the live guys are not getting their points. So I don't want to completely disregard them in any way. I won't run through them all now, but if you want to go on Data Golf and check them out, it's the usual names. But the live guys you've got in there is Bryson, Neiman, and Sergio, and Tyrrell. I think are the four.
Okay.
So after topping on that, the last 9 winners of the last 10 Masters have had a top 6 in a major for the previous 2 seasons.
Okay.
So that cuts it down fairly significantly. I think we lose about 11 players. So the guys we've got left are Scheffler, McIlroy, Morikawa, Rahm, Henley, Lowry, Schauffele, Cantlay, DeChambeau, Fleetwood, Matsuyama, Straka, Oberg, and Min Woo Lee.
Okay.
So further on top of that, 7 of the last 10 winners have already won earlier on in the season.
Okay.
Of the season that they won. And that cuts us down quite significantly to only 5 players.
Nice.
Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
Russell Henley.
You love Russell Henley.
Hideki Matsuyama.
Yeah.
Sepp Straka.
Yeah.
And Min Woo Lee.
Okay.
And that's your 5. Now, there is, and there's other people who have mentioned this, and I'm sure we'll clip this up for socials as well. But there is a fairly significant sort of strokes gained stat that's been going around on the internet. And essentially, the last 10 winners of the last 12 events have averaged at least 1.7 strokes gained tee to green or better in the 3 months leading up to the event. So off the top of my head, names like Rory McIlroy, Tommy Fleetwood, Laurie Cantor was one of them in there. And after of all those 5 names, there is only one man that is left. And I have just mentioned his name. So going off the basis of what you've just said and what the stats are saying, I was trying so hard for this not to be the case, but my 2025 Masters champion is Rory McIlroy.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. I mean, if this is the one that gets me back on again and gets me back on a streak of picking winners, then I'm more than okay with that.
Yeah, I think that'll be fine.
I am so happy. But I will mention, obviously, there's some guys' names in there, and you are right. I do love Russell Henley. I think he's a really good fit for this year, and I will definitely be betting on him. Sepp Straka's another interesting one. Yeah, he's actually had a really good year on the PGA Tour. Like, again, tee to green, he's been excellent. Min Woo Lee's funny because, obviously, I think a lot he'll be a popular bet anyway. I think people will, and obviously he's just come off a win. He hits it far. He's good around the green. It's if he can put 4 rounds in a major together, I think probably his one sticking point. And then Shane Lowry. Shane Lowry to me is an interesting one because, again, he's had a sneaky good year. He strikes the ball great. He's had, I think he's had like 6 or 7 top 10s in the last 8 years or something silly. He's got a great record at Augusta. So I love Shane there. And then the only other one because I always just want to make sure I get one in there as a left-handed golfer. Now, obviously, Brian Harman just won, and he's had a couple of decent finishes. But I actually really like Akshay Bhatia this year. I think last year was his first start at Augusta. He's learned a lot in his game. I think he's coming in and playing well. He's not played in the last couple of weeks, but he's an interesting one to me. I think just lefties anyway, just round that golf course, it suits them and sets up nicely. You've seen it. However many, there's been like 7 major winners that are left-handed, and 5 of them have come from Augusta. Yeah. You know, you got Mike Weir, Phil, Bubba. List goes on. So Rory McIlroy is my answer to that.
Okay.
But there's a couple of names in there for you guys if you want some slightly longer, not Rory McIlroy names.
Okay, so we will reconvene in approximately 1 week's time to talk and congratulate everyone not on that list.
Yeah.
Who had a very
so bet on everyone not there.
Finish. Yeah. I mean, Justin Rose, just stick your money on.
I think that first list of names, that after I'd knocked it out of the top 25, those 14 names in there, you would think by what it says that your winner is in there. You would think.
You would think so.
But, tread carefully.
Okay, so after that, let's talk about a few other stories which are surrounding the Masters. We'll kind of touch on this a little bit quickly because it is in the news. So one of the good things about Augusta, and one of the historic facts that kind of come each year, is if you're a past champion of Augusta, you are exempt. So you can come back and you can play whenever you want. Normally, it gets to a point, such as like Sandy Lyle, which was it last year or year before?
I think it might be the year before, yeah.
Sandy Lyle, obviously past champion, fantastic player, bowed out at Augusta. He said, I can't compete anymore. I'm going to stop. And it kind of reaches that point where, I don't know, someone maybe taps him on the shoulder in the locker room and says, listen, you're not competing anymore. Do you mind moving on? And they come back to the past champions dinner and all the rest of it, and there's that history surrounding it. Now this year, Angel Cabrera is back playing. So Argentinian golfer, past champion at Augusta. It's controversial because Angel Cabrera has been in prison for the past 2 years after charges of assault and intimidation against 2 former partners. He served half that time in a Brazilian prison, half that time in an Argentinian prison.
Okay.
And he was released on parole in 2023. Now, Fred Ridley, who Chairman Augusta, said he's welcome back. He's one of our champions. So he has extended that invitation. There was a doubt over whether he would play because he didn't have an active visa, but he managed to get the visa. And actually, last week in Florida, he won a seniors event.
Yeah.
So he's coming in with a little bit of form. Now, this has obviously sparked a lot of debate on whether if you are charged with crimes or crimes like this, and you've gone to prison, should you be welcomed back? You would say that a lot of people say, Angel Cabrera served his time. He was given a prison sentence. That's his punishment. He has also expressed a lot of regret about this, which, also you can have different opinions about that as well, but
sure,
he has expressed regret. He's talked about the problems that he's had. I think a lot of that he put down to alcohol. I think he's on medication now that he takes every day, where if he drinks alcohol, it like instantly makes him sick.
Oh, right. Okay.
So it's like a deterrent, basically.
Yeah.
So he can't really drink.
Interesting.
And he says, he's apologized unreservedly, said he was in a bad place and he's trying to get better, and golf is really all he has left. Where you would say that other people said it's inappropriate, especially because of what he did, and he shouldn't be welcomed back to the Masters. I really don't know.
It's tricky, isn't it?
I really, really don't know about this, because it is tricky, because the whole point of having a prison sentence, the whole point of having custodial incarceration, if you have committed a crime, is that you serve your punishment for that crime.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that you're absolved of what you did, but it says, okay, this is the punishment that we've allocated that you will serve for what you did.
Yeah.
Now, out the other end of that, if you continue to punish that person, then it's kind of pointless having that prison sentence. Obviously, you have to be aware of what's happened, but is it the case of saying, well, he served his sentence, he's now a free man, should he be welcomed back?
Yeah,
I'm on the fence.
Yeah, it is tricky. I completely hear what you're saying, and say obviously the whole thing is that your punishment is set to you by the court of law, and they've given them that. He's given that prison sentence, and he served that prison sentence. The thing with it is that obviously that he's now coming back into a public sphere. He's going to have a lot of attention. That is already a story before he's even teed off. And I mean, it's probably even worse given the fact that he's playing quite well, because I think of some people saying, "Oh, will he be able to get up there, make a cut and compete?"
Yeah.
The fact that he then has done this thing, which is obviously abhorrent and a terrible thing, that he now goes back to normality is sort of, I guess, what people are concerned about. And where's the level of, okay, well, they've, there has to be still something that comes from this.
Yeah.
And it's this sort of not giving back to someone who's done something so terrible, but almost like just lack of understanding that something has been done. Should he be able to still go on and live the life that he wants to live? And you can argue and say yes he should. But then again, it's also not for us to say, because we are not the guardians of morality. We don't draw the line, because I think that's the hard part as well, as where do you draw that line when a primary school teacher has done something, but then obviously they can't go back and work in that environment because of who they're working with and what they're doing. As a golfer, obviously he's just doing something more isolated on his own by himself. But because he's in the public figure and he's in the public sphere and people see him, it gives this idea of, okay, well, it's fine what he's done and he can just go back to being normal again. So I can fully understand both sides of it. It's a tricky navigation, I think, to get. And obviously this is very, from the pair of us, very on the fence, because I don't. Yeah. But it was also, I think, just where people will be with it, because it's not right that he's done this thing and now he can just come back and do whatever he wants. But at the same time, you do have to be able to, he served a sentence, he served a time.
I think it's important, the context of like where things happened as well. So as you mentioned, if like, let's say he like committed the crimes that he did even at a golf course, or like as an example, you would say, okay, if somebody works in a bank and they steal 10 million quid off people and they don't get it back, the chances are that person shouldn't go back to banking.
Yeah.
Because that would never happen.
No, ever.
Not in this brave world that we live in. So the context definitely matters. And like I said, I think it's a point of where do you draw the line? Like, do you just continue to punish somebody for something that they did away from the sport that they play? It's a very difficult one, and I really don't know. I don't know where I sit on it.
Yeah, no, I don't. It's I to be honest with you, I do feel like I sway more on the side of maybe he shouldn't be able to compete, because especially as well that obviously he's coming back on the basis of a past champion invite. So it's not on the basis of being one of the best players in the world anymore. It's not on the basis of he's been competing in the game for a long period of time, in the last 3 or 4 years, because he's been in prison. But maybe there should be an element of maybe they take away the invitation, because it's, again, if it was a case of that he had sort of earned his spot back in terms of playing good golf again, then maybe I'd feel a little bit more, okay, well, he's getting to that point, but now he's just sort of getting in off the back of an invitation. It's nothing. It's nothing that has come from his actual ability in the sport right now. It's tough. It is tough.
It's tough. Again, welcome your comments. Get down into those comments below if you're watching on YouTube, and if you do want to check out our YouTube channel, it's the Rough Cut Golf Podcast. Talking about things potentially recovering. The course at Augusta National. Now, it seems quite a long time ago, but it's really, really not, that Hurricane Helene kind of ripped through parts of Carolinas and Georgia and caused a lot of damage to Augusta National. So we were over in South Carolina pretty closely after this happened. We flew into Atlanta, and we drove from Atlanta past Augusta into South Carolina. And if you've never been to Georgia before, it's a very, very green part of the world. You just have pine trees after pine trees. It's just like the most forested place I think I've ever been. And it was kind of shocking to see how many trees were down.
Yeah.
There were just swathes and swathes. And, you know, I've never been to somewhere that close after a natural disaster of that scale. And yeah, it was quite shocking. And we drove pretty much right past Augusta, and the amount of work and repair work that was going on to try and get things back in order, it really did show that Augusta must have been battered. And pretty much straight after that, we started to see footage, drone footage and aerial footage of Augusta and the amount of trees that had come down and the amount of damage that had been done, very specifically to the 16th, the famous par 3. And we'll try and find some images of what it was like after the hurricane. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what's happened and how the course has recovered. I suspect that in true Augusta style, it is back to absolutely pristine perfection, because it's kind of what they do. Mm-hmm. You know, they have enough money and enough resources. Yeah, how often do we turn on the Masters after a year? We kind of look at things and say, that tree wasn't there before. And they've just planted like full-on pines that are fully grown. And it looks like they've been there for 100 years. You know, they do have the capabilities and the resources to rebuild, but it can't be underestimated like how much damage was caused there and to the local area as well. And fair play to Augusta and Augusta National in general. Straight after that, you know, there was a big outcry from the golfing community about, oh no, you know, some of these famous holes, the trees are down, it looks like a disaster. And fair play to Augusta. Their first response was, listen, we're not worried about the course. We're going out to the community and we're trying to help kind of locals, because a lot of people did lose homes and lost a lot of property. So fair play to them on that. Have you seen any of the kind of pictures coming out there at the moment?
Out of Augusta? No, I don't think I have.
It looks okay.
Yeah, they've recovered, have they?
I don't think we need to worry.
I think one of the biggest factors is, and maybe it's a question I'll put to you, but can any golf course compete with just sheer wealth to Augusta?
On the face of it, you would probably say no, just simply because. So Augusta's a little bit different because it's run as a corporation, the club, for-profit corporation, and they don't disclose any of like their incomes, their holdings, any of their members lists, for example, even though we know some people who are members. And it is just absolutely jam-packed full of millionaires, billionaires, and it obviously hosts one of the most famous golf tournaments in the world each year and accrues so much income from that. Yeah. So this is something which really does kind of amaze me. Throughout the week, they will earn $70 million in merchandise alone, just through the shop.
Wow. Yeah, that is
$70 million, $1 million a day for tournament week.
Wow. I mean, I know this stuff is
$10 million a day.
Yeah, 10 million. Yeah, I know this. I know the stuff's expensive.
So when I went there, so I was very lucky. So you've been to obviously theme parks before.
I have.
Everyone listening to this has been to a theme park before. We got into Augusta. We got there relatively early, and we thought, you know what, we'll go straight to the shop. Mm-hmm. We're not going to faff around in the middle of the week when it's really busy. We're just going to go straight to the shop. And I didn't know what to expect. I've never been to Augusta before. And we got to this building. I'm not going to call it a shop. It's just this complex.
Yeah.
And outside is the type of crowd control that you get at theme parks.
Okay.
So where you queue up, you go back and forth, in and out of all the barriers. Outside a shop.
Yeah.
And it was at that point I thought, well, something's not quite right. I got there early enough that we didn't really have to queue. We just walked straight through. We got into the shop, got my basket, and I was a bit excited. I must admit. I was a bit excited. So I was running around this shop, and it was starting to get a bit busy as well, people coming in. So I was just grabbing stuff, like hoodies and shirts and like napkin sets and all sorts of crap, which you're never, ever going to use, but you can't get it anywhere else. We'll try and find a picture now as well of the gnomes, the Augusta. Have you seen these Augusta gnomes? Can't get them anywhere else. They sell like hotcakes. So I've got in the queue for the till, and this was 2018. 2018. So none of you guys were kind of here yet.
No.
Obviously, I was still doing everything on my own. The business wasn't quite in as good a state it is now. Shall we say? I looked down at my basket and I was like, "There's got to be about $1,000 worth of stuff in here." And I'm looking down at it thinking, I can't afford this. And I'm getting nearer and nearer the cashier. And I'm like, I'm still just looking down and I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to do the walk of shame.
Yep.
I have to.
Yeah.
So I step out. I walk back through the shop and I just put back all these items. So I put back like the coasters.
Yeah.
Not going to need that. I've got about 5 mugs. So I put back 4 of them. I've got a decorative like ball marker set. I only need 1. So I'm just going back around the shop and I'm like moving people out of the way. So, oh, sorry, excuse me, putting it back on the shelf. I'm like, this is so embarrassing. The good thing is everything that I got that day, I think I still own.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that is good.
From head covers to that. Where's that bloody beach towel?
That beach towel's done. That's been in a few videos.
This beach towel. Show you this. I'll try and find the picture of.
Do you want me to get it?
Yeah. Go on.
Shall I get it?
I'll try and find the picture as well of when I got it because I was there with Seb on golf and me and my golf. It was when we were with Adidas, and when we got to Augusta, I'd only packed shorts. You got to unfold. You got to do the full unveil. Look at that. Never seen a beach in its life. What a beauty.
It's also massive.
It's huge. Well, what we did, when we got there, so we'd all spent our money in the shop and it was freezing.
Yeah.
So we expected Augusta, all the pictures you see, the sun's out, everyone's looking nice and warm. We thought, we're just going to need shorts. Mm-hmm. So arrived with shorts and a t-shirt. And the weather outside of the wind wasn't bad, but there was this freezing wind blowing through. And we were like, because a lot of the time you sit down with your stool and your chair, still got. And it was like, this is way too cold. But I don't want to spend any more money, really. So we went back to the shop and we thought, well, what can we get, which isn't going to cost me like $200 and which I could just wrap around me if I need to. And of course, they had the Augusta beach towels. So me, Seb, Piers and Andy, for the rest of that week, we were just wearing togas whenever it was cold around Augusta.
Yeah.
We got a few stares.
I'm sure you did.
But it was fine. We were inside the property.
Yeah.
Couldn't kick us out at that point unless we did something stupid. So, yeah, there you go. Where were we? $10 million a day. So just from that, and that's the thing, you don't really know how much money they have. But there's a few things. So in 2019, there was a Wall Street Journal calculated that they'd spent about $200 million just buying up surrounding land over the past 20 years. So that is just purely to extend holes, to kind of restructure like parking, to extend a few of the holes, to build a kind of completely new hole in one respect. So just on that figure alone, which is calculated to be short of the actual figure, that's an incredible amount to invest over that period of time.
Yeah, it's insane.
And that's just on acquiring land. That's not on doing anything else. That's just buying extra plots. Mm-hmm. So if you're talking about the wealthiest club in the world, then it kind of maybe has to be.
Yeah. I mean, if it's got we haven't got any numbers to put this down to, so it's this kind of, in my mind, if I hear that, it's just a bottomless pit.
Yeah, but because if you think about it, there's probably very few clubs in the world that are that exclusive, that have that many incredibly wealthy members who just have money literally falling out their eyeballs. They don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
You want 20 new trees? Sure. Why not?
Yeah, 10 mil.
I literally made that this morning. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Have a good time. You've got that list of members. You've got an event which goes there every year, which is one of the most popular, one of the most televised, one of the most invested in. And you can tell by the partners that the Augusta broadcasts have. They have very few, a very select number.
Yeah.
You've obviously got the merchandise sales. You've got all these things which aggregate into... I don't really know who else could compete with that.
No. Because obviously they also have the factor of the returning, year on year. So obviously you've got these courses that get the opportunity to host events and have these one-off moments of, hosting a major or doing something like that. But when you know that you keep getting the same amount of income and this influx every single year, people are going to come and spend hundreds of thousands of pounds in the merchandising tent, as you've just mentioned.
Like Didsbury in the Manchester Open.
Literally the same. Yeah. Literally the same, yeah. They've got it again this year, right?
Yeah, between Augusta and Didsbury.
Actually, you are right.
That's the most worthy club.
That's
pretty much
I did forget about them
at this point.
I did forget about them.
Yeah. How can you forget about Didsbury?
LACC? They've got to be wealthy.
Yeah, but
it's not Augusta wealthy, is it?
No. Because again, there's a difference between having the only thing you'd say about LA Country Club and maybe Riviera in some respects as well. One thing that they have the advantage of is if LA Country Club sold that land, it would be worth a gazillion pounds about where it is in LA.
Sure, yeah.
So that's the only thing you'd say if you're valuing the land.
Right.
Like LA Country Club would be potentially the most, maybe Pebble Beach, for example, on the ocean front there.
Yeah.
So it depends how you value things.
Okay.
But if you value like it as an entity and an ongoing concern, then yeah, probably Augusta.
Yeah.
An ongoing concern. Wow. Is that the correct terminology?
Sure.
Wow.
Because Augusta is, I think the most recent sort of valuation I'd seen was around like $200 million for their plot of land.
Yeah, but that's
no one knows.
That's like one hole at LA Country Club.
Yeah. So I think in terms of like a business perspective, if you look at it, like you do the assets, if you bought that in, then yeah, probably it would be. But yeah, they, like you say with Augusta as well. And I think obviously the conversations initially spanned from obviously Hurricane Helene. I remember when I saw all those pictures and I remember seeing that. And I think my reaction was kind of obviously of concern about, the damage that had been caused. But I think when it came to Augusta side of things, I think a lot of golfers and a lot of people commented were just sort of like, you'll be fine. Like you've got the money to deal with it. And they have dealt with it. And like you say, they've literally built a new green for the 16th. Which, I mean, again, you'll watch the coverage this week and you'll think there wasn't even anything that happened because it's just how amazingly they put stuff together there.
We'll see how it goes because I know at the start, so they were recording this on Monday. Currently, they're not allowing patrons out because of the weather.
Yeah.
It's obviously not as bad as a hurricane, but I know it is thunder, lightning, which would indicate that it's going to be a wet course. And when it gets firm, when it gets fast at Augusta, that's when things can get really spicy. When it's wet and it's relatively calm, these guys can tear it apart. Just think if there was a player who could hit like a high draw who would absolutely relish the chance for drop and stop on a golf course like Augusta.
Would get like significant growth over because he can carry the ball really far off the tee, so it's not enough run out. So if he hits it further than everyone else in the field, that's a positive. Yeah.
We talk about Bryson DeChambeau.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, God, he's going to win, isn't he?
Talking about picks now, just a reminder of our major picks. So we do this every year, the whole team. So it's myself, Mick, Jacob, and Kieran. We pick 4 players as a whole kind of draft about it, and then we have to pick someone outside the top 50 of the Data Golf World Rankings. Now, going into Augusta, my team is Rory McIlroy, John Rahm, Colin Morikawa, Jordan Spieth. Every time I look at that team, I just cannot see anything but dollar signs in my eyes. Mick has chosen Ludwig, Patrick Cantlay, Shane Lowry, Justin Rose. You have chosen Scotty Scheffler, Tommy Fleetwood, Russell Henley, and Sahith Theegala.
Can't wait for him to win this week.
Kieran has chosen Bryson DeChambeau, Xander Schauffele, Brooks Koepka, obviously, and Thomas Dietrich. I think that our major picks are going to be won and lost over our 4th players.
Oh, absolutely.
Jordan Spieth for me, Justin Rose for Mick, Sahith Theegala for you, and Thomas Dietrich for Kieran.
Yeah.
Like they're the ones that are obviously a bit of the wild cards.
But and I think that's we've kind of seen that already in the last 2 years we've done it. Like if you can nail the over 50 guy and he's fairly consistent and you're not getting those massive hits. And that's the thing as well, like it's just making the cut.
Just need them to make the cut.
Make the cut, don't get the full point hit, see where you stand by the end of it. Because you say, you look at all those other people and you kind of think, well, surely they will make every cut in the open, in the major, sorry. Yeah, Spieth's got a T2 and 3 missed cuts in him for this year.
The thing is, with Spieth, he actually doesn't. He might not be up near the top, but I would back him to make most cuts.
Sure, yeah,
because he's that kind of player.
Yeah. No, I think you've seen improvement this year.
Like Sahith, I could see him missing every single cut.
I can see him making everyone.
I suppose we should wrap up with something else which has been happening in golf this week. We've had the Texas
Valero Texas Open.
Valero Texas Open. Brian Harmon won.
He did.
I don't know anything else about that tournament, really, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. We've had Liv and Mark Leishman won. It's the first time, literally the first time, that I sat down and I watched like a full highlight package.
Oh wow!
Of Liv,
and
it was. I tell you what, the actual highlight reel. It was like 50 odd minutes, but I've never sat down and watched a highlight reel that was so full of shots.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if I mean this in a good way. It was just so like boof, 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 that you kind of kept up what was going on, but there was like there wasn't like a change of pace. Do you know if you watch a film, like an action film, and it's just the action goes on for too long?
Yeah.
And you almost like you kind of lose focus on it. There's a bit like that. But anyway, Mark Leishman won. Actually kind of made a fantastic up and down on the last to win. But I was only watching that and I was only interested in that because of the duels.
Which also came out on Saturday.
Yeah. No, it was yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, was it yesterday? Yeah, because I was here watching it.
Sure.
I was doing some practice and I thought I'll take a break and I'll have a bit.
I know there was a delay. There was a day.
Yeah.
Anyway. I mean, initial thoughts. I thought it was like really close. And when I say really close is that I didn't like absolutely love it and think that it was this is the best iteration of creator pro golf merge.
Yeah. I mean, to put this in context, by the way, if you don't know, the duels was 6 creators and 6 live golf captains. Yeah, 6 live golf captains pairing up for a 9-hole scramble, playing for 250 grand at the Blue Monster at Doral. And it's a direct competitor, like pretty obvious direct competitor, the Creator Classic that the PGA Tour have done. And in just over a day, it's got 1 million views on Grant's channel. Now, that's one of the differences, that this is obviously on Grant's channel, the PGA Creator Classic, that's on the PGA channel. And you could tell that with what Grant was doing and with what Sky was doing as well, I'm pretty sure they were kind of controlling the edit, was they were trying to fuse the broadcast coverage and the YouTube coverage.
Yeah.
They were trying to make it into a little bit more of a hybrid, like whereas the Creator Classic is just all high end. You're basically watching a tour broadcast. And there's good things to say about that. I think one of the biggest weaknesses of that, which people allude to a lot, is that you don't get the same interaction with the creators that you would do if they were making their own video.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Grant was trying to do with this. He was trying to make it a lot more interactive, a lot more like a YouTube video.
Yeah.
And pretty much did it. And I think you had other people, you had the Bob the Sports guys all there kind of doing the commentating as well. It felt a little bit more like a YouTube video. For me, when I was watching it, I'm not sure about like the pacing. Like there was a few people saying like to let the people finish out the hole and then maybe go back and let their group finish out the hole. But having said that, to get it turned around within literally 2.5 days, and
nuts.
That's kind of absolutely crazy. And as a first iteration, it was good. I think as a first iteration of anything, there's going to be stuff to improve.
Yeah.
But overall, I think for that kind of turnaround, did a decent job.
No, I agree. I think you're right. I think the YouTuber-y video side of it, of where the cameras would cut back to Sky and Carney and most of the videographers that basically work for these guys were filming it by the looks of it. So you did see that element, and you did see that part of the communication between the players, and you heard the content creators talking about stuff, which, like say, you don't get with the Creator Classics that the PGA Tour have done. However, I will say that this is my point of way of saying it didn't. They were close, but they didn't quite nail it, because I felt that with the Creator Classics, when they're on and they're a live broadcast, it feels more of an event. It feels more of a significant, to me, it felt more of a significant thing of like, here's these content creators playing major courses the days before a PGA Tour event. With this, because it came out as a YouTube video, it almost, I don't know, it didn't lose significance, but it almost was just like, it was just a crazy YouTube video. Yeah. And I guess that's kind of what it is. But it didn't have that kind of anticipation feel when I was watching it of like, oh my God, this is really cool while this is happening, because it had already happened and now they've kind of created this post-production product of it. As you say, the pacing was tricky. Obviously, you've got so many people playing and so many teams you have to edit through, and there's so many shots to do. So even to keep that down to an hour and 40 minutes, I thought was kind of fairly impressive. I
think maybe that's for... I wouldn't mind if it was longer. I wouldn't mind if it was longer. You got more interactions. You got a little bit more of the chat in. I wouldn't mind that. I think if you're gonna sit down and watch a video for an hour and 40 minutes, you'd probably happily watch it for over 2 hours anyway.
Yeah.
So there was maybe that, but ultimately, again, I think it felt when I was watching it. I get what you're saying about a live event, but like realistic with a YouTube video, like YouTube videos aren't live. Like when the Selena matches, when the 100K skins game, obviously that wasn't live. Could have made it work.
Yeah.
You know, you still got the drama, you still got the feel of that.
Yeah.
So for me, I wasn't too fussed from that regard.
I mean, to some people, obviously, then it makes it easier because you can just scroll through it and you can, you know, watch parts and come back in and out, and you don't, because say when you're watching the live one, if you come away from it, then it's harder to kind of come back into it again. If you're same way with a YouTube video where you can just pause it and jump in and out. Maybe even if they just did it as like a premiere or something, and you know, for the first hour 40, it was actually, if you wanted to watch it live as it was coming out, you couldn't skip. Just, I don't know, just sort of make it more of a build up of anticipation. It was just like, it's dropped and here's this massive video that everyone's been promoting and going on about, and here's it all in one go. Which again, for some people, I'm probably listening thinking, what are you talking about? Because having it all there in the product and it's there and it's done for you, you can watch everything in one go, probably sounds great to a lot of people. The only thing, and this is obviously coming from the, you know, Brit who's watching it, I really struggled with the whole like Donald Trump bit where it was like he was landing and then it was like him in his golf cart like waving to everyone in slow-mo with sort of slightly patriotic music under the background of it. Like whether you like him or not, I'm not going to don't want to get political about it, but that was the first bit. It just smelled a little bit
Blue Monster, baby.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know how much that affected like people being able to watch. I don't know if like him coming in would have been a barrier for more people being there to actually watch this either. I don't know, but I'm just like...
Sure, yeah.
One thing with the Creator Classic, which was good, certainly the Atlanta one, which you played in, like the crowds there were huge. So, I mean, we'll see what it's like in the future as well. This was a real test, I believe, and if they're going to continue to do this type of thing moving forwards, what the future iterations will be like, because it is obviously a first time. If we get there or not, I don't know. If we would do something like that, I know we're not going to be doing the next Creator Classic in Philadelphia.
No,
so we won't be going to that. So we'll see kind of what happens with this. It's interesting. So it felt like it was a change of pace and a real moment as far as like YouTube golf is concerned. It was weird. It's like, okay, this is the point we're at now. Like, what is next? Is this a good thing? Like, how do we carry on from this point? Mm-hmm. You know, what is YouTube golf going to become? All these questions that are floating around in the air, which will need to be answered. But apart from that, I think we can wrap the show up here. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Obviously, enjoy the Masters. We will see who wins. We have both picked Rory. We've got lots of little outsiders for you there as well. Comment below who you think is going to win. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. And follow us on our Discord as well, which is in the description below. Other than that, guys, we'll see you next time. I really never know how to end these.
No, it's hard, isn't it? It sort of just peters out. We'll be in America for the next one. That's exciting.
We'll be in Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are going to Arizona tomorrow. Well, today, when this comes out.
Yeah.
We will be watching the final round, huddled in a clubhouse somewhere in Arizona.
I'm sure we will, yeah.
I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
Cool. End of the video podcast.
Bye.
Bye.